Hey guys, I got kind of a busy day today, but I wanted to make a video and kind of show you what I got going on. Right now I gotta let my dog back in. He's been barking. He wants to go back in the house. There's my dog Moo. He's a Chiweenie. He just wants a friend. Oh yeah, here's my bamboo. Got my bamboo out in the sun this morning. Getting big. Alright, well, I've been struggling with this sewing machine. I bought a shoe cobbler sewing machine to help making wallets and stuff faster. But it didn't work so well at first. I was getting really mad, frustrated with it. Watched a lot of videos and I couldn't figure it out. I'll show you the machine. It's a Chinese shoe cobbler, and I saw so many videos. People were just saying, "Oh, it works so well. It takes a little bit of figuring out, but it works really well." It actually came with this tripod, this kind of flimsy tripod. So I really needed automation, and I was looking at buying a more expensive sewing machine, but all I really needed it for was to help do small things, because I really like the look and the quality of the hand-stitched leather holsters. I'll show you an example of a prototype. I'm gonna change it, and I did change it, but this is the prototype, and I'll show you. But the hand stitching, I love the thickness of the thread, and I love the way it just pops out, and it's a really strong stitch. This is the prototype of the locking leather holster. If I can show you with my gun real quick how the locking leather holster works. I can't do it with one hand. I'll have to get my tripod and I'll show you. But it pops into place like a Kydex holster. And the thing I don't like about the prototype was this long wing. I thought that I needed that much clearance to clear for the grip, so you could get a full firing grip on the gun. But I don't. I can bring that all the way in like I did here. I can bring it all the way in about an inch apart from that seam where I stitched, and it works just fine. You have plenty of room for your hands. Anyways, I needed a sewing machine that would help me do small projects like wallets and stuff, because they take so long to stitch. And so I started watching more videos, and the issue that I was having was the string was getting all bound up down here in the bobbin. And it was getting all tangled up, and I wasn't getting the underneath lock stitch. I was getting so mad. So I set the thing aside, and for months, because I didn't have time to mess with it. And then when I watched videos yesterday and just realized that the issue wasn't the bobbin. The bobbin was wound the right way and going the right direction, but the issue was the upper threading. I wasn't running the thread through the tensioner because I thought that was giving me too much tension, and it just wasn't working right. So I took another look at it. I rethreaded it, I ran it through the tensioner, and I used a lighter string so that I could see what was going on, and it worked. I did a lot of stitching last night. I was up late practicing on dyed pieces, not dyed pieces, doing see if you can see this, doing curves and stuff, and it worked great, but it was making marks. Presser foot was making marks on my leather really bad, so I took a Dremel tool and I dremelled this down a little smooth, and I think it's working great now. But and one other thing I had to do to it was I had to take it off of that tripod. The tripod it came on is really flimsy, and it shakes a lot and it bounces a lot, and if you push too hard on the wheel, it wants to tip sometimes. So anyway, I took it off of there and I mounted it to a piece of wood. I drilled 2 holes and I counterbored the bottom of the hole so I could put a bolt in there and bolted it down. There's only 2 bolts that hold it in, that one and that one. So I bolted it down and then I C-clamped it for now. Maybe I can just leave it that way so I can just take it off when I'm not using it. And this works so much nicer. I can just operate it with one hand and feed my piece through, and there's no issues. It doesn't wobble or anything. So that I wanted to show you guys that because this was like 150 bucks on Amazon. If you're not doing a whole lot of like thick leather work, I could probably figure it out. But when I was doing the double layer of 7 to 9 ounce leather, which is this stuff, my needle started to bend, so it's probably, you know, I had the wrong needle or whatever. So I'm really happy with it. I can use it for now for wallets and stuff like that. So cell phone cases and everything. But today I wanted to show you this holster that I'm working on. This is a custom build, custom graphic hand tool design on the front for my neighbor. And this is the locking leather. It's got the Kydex piece on the inside, but I used purple thread, and obviously it's a purple dye that I use. But I wanted to show you what I think sets my holsters apart from most of the competitors I see online, and I think it's important. But most of the holsters I see online that are a little bit cheaper than mine, some of them are really expensive, more expensive than mine, and they do not have a liner, and it's kind of rough, right? So I guess if you're not worried about that, then you're not going to worry about that. But if I took the extra time to cut, glue, and stitch in an internal liner that covers the entire inside of the gun, and this liner it's not suede, because suede can damage your gun, can discolor it and rub the coating, the protective coating and stuff off. But what this is a glazed pigskin. It's water resistant. If you drop water on that or get water on that, it runs right off. It does not absorb water whatsoever. So that water protectant lining mixed with my acrylic Resolene coating I put on the outside, this thing is pretty darn protected. I mean, it's going to last you a very, very long time. So yeah, I wanted to point out a couple of things that I think that make my holsters worth way more than what I'm charging online. And the prices may go up a little bit because I have, you know, I've got to make a living at it, and most of my work is custom work, and you can't, unless you have a production line of things that you can mass produce, you're not going to make very much money doing custom work, because it takes so long to do, and I mean, you've got to create something brand new every time. So the prices are probably going to have to come up. Anyway, that and the hand stitching, I think I'm going to just keep on doing the hand stitching instead of the machine stitches you get online, which is not as good of a quality, and it doesn't look as nice as the hand stitch. So I wanted to show you guys a couple things, and the shoe cobbler I got figured out. So far, at least I can use it for, you know, small things, and I think it's gonna work out just nice. So today, what I got going on is I got to finish that. I got to finish the custom job today, and I think that's all I have for orders that need done today. But I got to do some housework. I got to clean. Got some laundry started, and I gotta do my dishes. So I've been working my butt off doing leather work, and I haven't had a whole lot of time for housework. And tonight, I gotta meet my girlfriend at her place. When she gets off work, we're gonna have dinner. We're gonna go back to her work and do some cleaning. But so I gotta get all my housework done. Before that, well, better get to work. What I need to do is I need to put edge coat all around the edges, let that dry. Then I'm going to oil it with neat's foot oil. Well, before I oil it, I'm going to take a paintbrush and touch up around this design where I made my cut. And then in the molding process, those cuts kind of open up a little bit, and you see the original tan color of the leather underneath inside the cut. So I'm going to touch that up and then put some oil on it, and then spray some acrylic Resin on it, and it'll be all done, ready for the customer. So what I'm going to use is right here. It's Feebling's black edge coat. Stays flexible. Does an excellent job of protecting the edges. And whenever you're edge coating, you need to be very careful that you don't touch the edge coating with your fingers and touch any other part of the leather that's not supposed to have edge coating on it, because that edge coating will stain it almost instantly, and you'll just have a bad spot there that you can't hide. So you're either going to have to deal with it and just live with it, or start over. So this part, I mean, is very, very important that you are very, very careful where you put your hands. Move slow, make slow calculated movements so that you're not touching anything. This is another thing that just makes this product so much more valuable, and people don't realize how much work go into making something like this, and how one little mistake could make you have to start all over. So it takes a lot of time and energy and skill, really, to do it carefully so that you're not wasting all your profits on redoing the project. So for you people out there that like the leather holsters, that love the leather work, you don't really realize how much work goes into one and why they cost so much money. This is why. You gotta, I mean, this stuff takes time. And you can't beat the hand made quality with the machine. You can't get this with a machine. It's just a unique art. I love it. What I'm using here to roll this edge coat on is it's a edge coat roller. It makes it a whole lot nicer, a whole lot easier to put a nice even coat of edge coat on without overcoating it, without dripping and getting brush strokes where you don't want it. Like if you're trying to put it on with a paintbrush or like a foam brush or wool dauber, sometimes you can get out of control and paint things you don't want to paint. I haven't been making very many videos. I've been pretty darn busy though. Well, I want to make some more videos. I want to put more content on. So if you like watching my videos, make sure you like and subscribe. When you like videos, it lets me know that I'm putting videos up that you like. If I'm not putting videos up that you like, or you want to see something specific, put that in the comments, and I'll try to make a video on what your comment is. Finding content to post isn't the easiest thing, especially when you're really busy filling orders. And I don't want to fill my YouTube channel with me completing orders. I want stuff that people are going to want to see, interesting things to watch. But I don't know if this is interesting, but if you've never seen edge coat being put on, then it might be interesting. But at least you can see how much time it takes to do it. But the end result is just, I mean, you've got a holster that just pops. That edge coat stays shiny. It protects the leather from moisture getting in to where there's no dye on the edges. And you can see that line right there is my liner, the inside liner. It comes all the way out to the edge, so this kind of covers that up and makes it look nice. So you can't even see, you don't even see that all the ugliness on the edges. But if you've bought a leather holster from me, take a look at that edge and look at the quality of the edge. When I first got started, I was not very good at all at finishing the edges. By finishing the edges, I mean, I got some on my hand, and I got a little bit on my hand, and I need to make sure that I wipe it off completely so I don't touch anything. Anyway, my edges, when I first got started, I was not good at all at finishing the edges. And by that I mean they weren't very smooth, they weren't very pretty looking, and it took me some time to learn how to make them look nice. And it's a lot of sanding and burnishing to get them really nice and glassy smooth. And then the edge coat, with the help of the roller, putting it on real nice and even, really makes the edges look a lot better. So the holsters that I've been producing for the last couple years have looked a lot better than the holsters that I produced 4 years ago. But that just shows you that I like to be dedicated to quality and improving everything. So I'm almost done with this, but I have one thing I want to show you about edge coating. When your leather comes together, here's a single piece right here. But when it comes together, sometimes it doesn't come together perfect and level, and you can't get the edge coater down in the crack, and you can't leave the flesh show. You have to edge coat it. So what I would do when I'm all done making that look good, okay, there's I don't know if you can see it, one little spot in there of natural leather showing. So what I would do is I would get a paintbrush, just a regular paintbrush, put it in the edge coat and paint that little spot. Maybe one right there. And when you're all done with this roller and the paintbrush, you've got to clean that off right away before it starts to dry, because it'll gunk it up and it won't roll right, and it's really not a fun thing to deal with. So this is all done. I got the edge all coated, and I'm going to hang it up to dry. Okay, so that little shot that I just showed you of me hanging up that holster You know, I wanted to make it a little bit more interesting by moving the camera and showing you something different. And in the process, I moved my camera and the tripod my camera's on, hit my edge coat bottle and knocked it over, and I spilt about half of the edge coat all over my workspace. So this is another one for you guys that don't realize how much work and time and care that it takes to do things carefully. Just making a video, not watching what you're doing. You don't put the lid back on your edge coat and you freaking spill it all over the place. So here's what I did. Spilled it all over the place, but I was able to kind of scoop it back in there and save a lot of it. But anyway, this stuff isn't cheap, and you don't want to spill it all over your workspace, especially trying to move the camera to take a dumb little clip of you hanging up a holster. You need to be careful when you're doing stuff. Alright, while the edge coat dries on that holster, it's time to do some dishes. Oh, just so you know, I've got a dishwasher down here. I'm not just rinsing the dishes off and putting them away. I'm actually, I've already rinsed them off after I got done using them, or my kids did, and I'm just putting them straight into the dishwasher. I'm not a nasty person. And I don't like putting plastic in the dishwasher because my dishwasher is so powerful, it knocks them all over the place. And I'll open up the dishwasher when it's all done, and it'll be like a plastic bowl upside down, completely full of water. I don't do that. Oh, my girlfriend taught me this. The wash rag is used to actually wipe up the counter in the sink. You don't wash dishes with a wash rag. This spongy thingy on a handle, this is for washing dishes. And I tell you what, it works out really well. Alright. Dishes are done. It's 9:30 a.m., 9:33 a.m., and I haven't even made a pot of coffee yet. So this is uncaffeinated me. I better make some coffee. One thing I want to show you guys, this coffee mug that I use, I've been using it every day for probably, I don't know, 4 years since I made it. This was the prototype. I've sold a lot of these. This is my leather coffee mug. Comes in a mason jar. I think it's like a 16-ounce mason jar. I love this thing. I use it every day. Oh, I got my business cards in yesterday. I want to show them to you. It came, well, I had to buy it, it didn't come with it. This little case you can put in your pocket. You just carry it around in a little case, in case you come across somebody that needs a business card. That's the front. That's the back. I made a little QR code years ago and I like it. So the person doesn't have to type in your website. When they get one of your business cards, they can just open up their phone and take a picture of that QR code and it'll take them right to my website. It was free. Those are my business cards. Now I gotta check on my bamboo. I like to put my bamboo out so they got just the right amount of sun and a little bit of shade. But they can take the full sun, but I think they're happier with not the full sun beating down on them all the time. So I kind of put them into a place where they can get a little bit of shade and a little bit of sun. Here's the bamboo plant I have out front. It's a Fargesia rufa. It's commonly known as the green panda bamboo because it's the main diet of the panda bears. That's a green panda bamboo. It'll get about 6 to 10 foot tall, and it'll form a clump the size of the pot. It can, if it's planted out in the ground, it can get up to like a 6 to 8 foot clump. Now it's time to sweep the floors. Coffee's ready. I like my coffee black. Yeah. Floor's all mopped. It's time to check that holster. I just want to check and make sure the edge coat has dried and it's you can touch it and it's not sticky, it's not tacky. This one looks pretty good. It's ready for the next step. The next step is I'll probably use an airbrush and paint in some of those gaps like I said before where you cut the leather and forming it, it opened up and you can see through it. So I might just put a little piece of tape on that or whatever, because I don't want to take that back out as a pain in the butt to get in. And I'll just airbrush that and make it all good to go. Alright, I decided not to use an airbrush. I'm going to use a tiny little paintbrush and just use a tiny little bit of dye and get it down in the crack. I didn't want to make a big mess and risk spraying the threads and spraying things I didn't want sprayed. So this is another one of those things that you people that get custom holsters made, you don't realize the work that's going into it. I don't mean to keep on harping about the work that goes into it because I love the work. It's just a lot of people think that you just stamp it in and just go. There's a lot that goes into making it look good. I like that. That's looking nice. This is one of those things where, you know, you could have wet molded it. You'd think that you could wet mold it and then put the design in, but you can't really do that because of the curve. It's curved, so you got to do it when it's flat. The best time to do it when it's flat, and then just mold it and fix it up later. There's a lot of things that need touched up and brought back up after you wet mold it because it was smashed down a little bit. Those are things that you do because you want the product to look nice as you can make it look. You don't want to just shove it out the door because it's done. Do it and send it out the door. Alright, that's all done. So I'm going to use a cloth and buff it out a little bit and put some oil on it. And then seal it up and it's ready to go. I'm just going to take a soft rag. I use a lot of cotton t-shirt material, just something that's soft, and buff it out. Because when you paint, especially when you use a paintbrush and you apply dye, there's going to be some that doesn't get absorbed into the leather and it's just sitting on top. And you got to buff that off so it'll look nice. It'll shine up and blend right in and look fantastic. This holster is ready for oil. Just to show you what kind of oil I use, I use Phoebing's Prime Neatswood Oil Compound. I can buy that at the Tractor Supply store. See if I got the price tag on that. It might have been $24 for that, but that will last me absolutely forever. As you can tell by the dust that's on it, I've already had it forever. I've probably had it for 3 years. And what I do is I get a little Tupperware container and I fill that up, and I keep my sponge and my dauber right on there. I can't open it with one hand, but that way you're not using out of a big huge container like that, and you can seal it up and it stays nice and clean. It doesn't evaporate because it's oil. It'll stay there, but you'll get all kinds of gunk in it, so you need to put a lid on it. Alright, so open this up, and I like to hold it just like this. So I can get the entire front. You need to get every inch of it, and you don't need a whole lot. You don't want to put a whole lot. You just, because when you wet molded it and you let it dry out, that leather gets pretty dry, and after use and wear and tear, it can start to crack without putting oil on it. So you want to put some oil in it and bring that leather back to life. And plus, after you oil it, it'll bring out a whole new color. It'll look way different than what it did before. After that oil dries, it gives it a real deep, rich color, and I think it looks really nice. It also brings out, the oil brings out the different patterns within the fibers of the oil. There's no way you're going to see it on camera, but if you pick one of these up and hold it in your own hands and look at it, you can see things in the leather that just pop out because of the oil. It's pretty nice. Now I can flip it over, take it from this position, flip it right over to that position, oil the whole thing without having to mess around and putting it down and picking it up. There's all different kinds of ways you can put the oil on. If you have a great big area like that, you can just use your sponge. The only thing about the sponge is it tends to put a lot more on than the dauber, so you just want to kind of brush it, make sure it's nice and even. And now we've got to let this oil dry. The best way to do that is I set up a dehydrator, and it gets warm. The best way to let this dry is to warm it as you dry it, and the warmth will open up the pores of that leather and let that oil soak in and saturate. Okay, here's my dehydrator. It's just a regular food dehydrator. This is the perfect size for belts and wallets and holsters because look how big that is. All I did was I took my old dehydrator that I wasn't using anymore and I cut out the inside of the screen. There used to be a screen there so you could do layers. I cut that out and I stack up all the screens so that I make more room in there. It's a great big chamber. It works perfect. And something like this, instead of leaving out in the sunlight to dry for 3 days, you can stick it in the dehydrator and it'll be done. This will be done in half an hour. It'll be ready to go. I'll just, whoops. After it comes out of the dehydrator, about a half an hour, I'll clear coat it and it'll be all done, ready for the customer. I'll just put that in there like that. Put the lid on. Plug it in. I'll show you what I've got that set at. I normally have it set around 115, but the other day it was cold, so I turned it up a little bit. So I'll turn it back down to 115 and let that dehydrate for about a half hour. Coffee time. Coffee time over. Hey, I want to take the time to show you guys some common tools that I have that I use every time I do a leather project. And you don't have to have these exact tools, but this is what I use, and I always use them on everything. This I got from Tandy. This is my stitch line groover, stitch and groover. Couldn't think of what it was called, but I had one before and I dropped it, and this arm broke off, so I could only do tiny little gaps. But this, I don't know how much it costs, maybe 15 bucks or something, 20 bucks, but you need one of these. Another thing I use is the box cutter with the razor, just a regular razor blade. This thing cuts through leather like you wouldn't believe, and it's easy to change out, and you know, it's, in my opinion, way better than one of those huge half moon leather cutting knives that are like $45, $50. But this is all you need. This will cut through just about any leather. 1 or 2 passes and you're through. It's worth buying. This knife, I had a friend make, if I can get in the camera, he just got into doing blacksmithing, and I think he used a wrench, like a box end wrench or whatever, and he made this for me. I gave him the a picture of what I wanted, but this thing I love. I just have to just keep sharpening it, put a really nice fine tip on it, and it cuts amazing. I love the shape of it because I can put my thumb right here and I can use just the tip of it and cut small detail, or I can put my thumb up here and use it to put pressure on it. Also, I can roll it to make cuts. If I need to make a straight cut, I can just roll it and it'll cut. Cuts pretty nice. Let me see if I can show you. Okay, I got a piece of leather here, and this knife, I can roll it and get a real nice straight cut, or I can use it like this and do detail, make one pass to score it, and you just can't beat having a really good knife that you like to make, to make your cuts. If I need to round off an edge and I don't want to spend so much time on the sander, I can do this and just round it off, just a couple cuts with that, and rounds it off, and I don't have to do so much sanding. The other tool that I use every project is it's a piece of nylon that I have rounded. I rounded this edge and I polished it smooth, because what this is it's a shaping tool, and I also use it to burnish edges, and when I glue on my liners I use it to press down. I press down on the edges to get a really nice good contact around the edges with my liners, and this, because I've polished it smooth, it doesn't leave any marks, it doesn't look nasty, you know. It makes a nice smooth surface when I use it. Another tool I made out of nylon is it's a burnishing tool, and this is just nylon round stock that I shaped. I shaped this on a lathe for different thicknesses of leather, so that if I don't want to run over to the my bench grinder to burnish, and I just need to do something real small, I can burnish it real quick, and then with the sharper edge I can push down the edges like that. With the tip I can do the inside of a hole and burnish it, make it look really nice. You can buy these, but I made mine. This is another piece of nylon that I sharpened, and I put a round point on it, polished it all smooth. And this is for doing detail work when I'm molding, wet molding. I can do lines. I can even do different shapes of lines. I can really press in detail in my leather with this tool, and it leaves a really nice, smooth, shiny shape. This tool is just a wooden stick, a square wooden stick, and I shaped it and smoothed it out, sanded it, and I polished it pretty well. And this is what I use to open up the pockets in my holster, my leather holsters, for my retention. After I've wet molded it and I've got it all done, I stick this inside where where I want my opening for my retention pocket, and that's what this is for. These are tools that I use every day on just about every project. So just give you an idea of what I've got on hand all the time. Oh, another tool I use, real quick. I took just like a broomstick handle, and I drilled a hole through it, and I ran a long bolt through it, and I went to the hardware store and I got this. I don't know what you call it, but it's a nut with a ball on the end of it, so that it covers up the end of your bolt and it looks nice. So this thing I use all the time, and I love it. Just make sure that the ball stays nice and smooth and you don't get it all marred up if you drop it or banging against something. Make sure you try to polish it out so it's nice and smooth, or you're going to scratch your leather. What I use this for is like the inside of my trigger pocket. I use it to smooth that out, and it makes a really, really nice shape. And it helps me get a really deep impression right there on the front and the back, so that the holster kind of locks into place. Let me show you. This holster was made for the S&W M&P Shield, and when you get a really nice deep impression around the trigger guard, I'll show you what happens. It locks your gun in there. Well, along with the retention, but it looks nice. It looks more like the impression of your gun, and it helps hold it into place. So make yourself one of these. You're going to save yourself a whole lot of time, and also I use it to do detail, like make the impressions around the outside of the gun. You can use it to smooth them out and make them really nice looking. And like here where I made the sight channel indentation, so the sight channel would go down here. I use this to make a really deep impression there to outline the sight channel. And around here sometimes I'll use it. But yeah, broom handle, a long bolt, and a funny round nut thingy. Works wonders. Let's check that holster. It looks dry. All that oil has been absorbed. It's warm. It's ready to go. I'll seal that up and I'll go get the gun and fit it and show you what that looks like. What I use is Phoebing's acrylic Resin. I buy mine on eBay just because that's where I found it the cheapest. I know cheapest doesn't always mean better, but it's acrylic Resin. You can get it wherever you can get it. It's the greatest stuff out there for sealing your leather, in my opinion. Doesn't make it completely waterproof, but it makes it water resistant. There's no way to actually make a leather holster or any leather item completely waterproof. So anyway, the best way to apply it is airbrush. It dries really fast. After you apply it with your airbrush, it usually dries within a few seconds. It's all done. I'm going to go get the gun and show you how it fits, and show you the locking mechanism, and it's ready to go. Well, I went and knocked on the guy's door, and guess he's not out of bed yet. But it's 10:55. I've got this thing all done. I test fit it last night before I gave him his gun back, before I stuck this thing in the dehydrator, so I know it's going to fit. I know that he's going to love it, so I'll put some pictures on here in my photo booth, and then I'll call it good. So, and I want to show you my photo booth too. So you see my pictures on my website, pictures I put up on Facebook and stuff, and on my Instagram. If you're not following me on Instagram, follow me. If you're not on my Facebook page, look up Black Swamp Holsters on Facebook, or look up my name, Mike Epling, and look at my business page, Black Swamp Holsters. Anyway, all those pictures that you see on there are done in my tiny little photo booth. I mean, I made this thing for like, it cost me like $40 maybe. And I just want to show you what I got. This is where I take all my pictures. I've got these big spotlight things with a high-powered bulb in it. I know I need better lighting, and I'm working on that right now, but this is what I have to work with, and it works fine. If you've got something similar or can do this, I suggest it, because the pictures that you take, they got to be good pictures. You need to make, you know, the best pictures that you can with what you have. So I have light from every angle that I can possibly have to reduce the shadow and to illuminate the entire product. And in the background, you got to have something neat to look at. Either use a white background, which I'm finding it a challenge to focus in and get good color on my product with a white background, but the white background looks amazing. But all I did was I found some barnwood, and I made myself a little backdrop and the bottom. So when I focus in on my camera and take a picture, I can't do it with this because it's a wide angle camera. But anyway, I'll put the holster in there like that, and looks fantastic. And I'll take my picture and try to cut out all the background white, which I can't do on this. So I'm going to show you pictures that I took right after this video, so stay tuned. Alright, I got a lot going on, I got a lot to do. It's almost 11 o'clock, it's 10:58. I got to drink a little bit more coffee. I got to check on my bamboo. I got to get cleaned up. I got to go to the store. And so I'm just going to wrap this thing up. I hope that you you learned something or got something out of my video today. If you have any suggestions of videos you'd like me to make, things you want me to talk about the the shoe cobbler, or the tools that I use, or technique, or product that I make, let me know in the comments and I'll try to address that. But definitely go to my website, www.blackswampholsters.com. check out my stuff there, and see if there's anything. Oh, another thing is I just started an affiliate program. You can earn extra money if you've got a good social media platform, Facebook, or you have a website, or Instagram or Twitter or whatever, and you want to monetize those social media platforms. You want to make a little bit of extra money on the side. You can go to my website, click on the affiliates page, register as an affiliate, and in there you can get a link that's just for you to your affiliates, and I can make you a coupon code that you can give to your customers or your followers, so where they can get a discount on my product. And what happens is, because you're an affiliate, all that traffic gets traced through you, through your link, and it shows up right there when you log in how many people have bought my product because of you, and you get a return from that. You can get 10 or 15%. I think I've got it set up for 15% right now, but it's a way to make extra money. It's a way to help me, a way to help you, and yeah, definitely get on there and check it out. Also, what I can do, if you are an affiliate of mine, I can create for you a little banner. If you look at the very bottom of my affiliates page, there's a little banner of one of my affiliates right now, and as I gain more affiliates, I'll put a little banner for your business right down on the bottom of my website. Send traffic to you, to your social media, your website, or whatever. And unless you have your own banners already made up, the banner can be made with your logo, a little saying or whatever, and it'll actually be a clickable link to your social media or your website. So definitely check that out. It's a way to help. We can all help each other out. You can monetize your social media, make a little bit extra money. So check it out. I'm going to wrap this up and get things done, and hopefully I can get everything done before I leave to go see my girlfriend tonight. You guys have a good weekend. Take care.